Hey, yeah, oh, 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 yeah.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now, this past week, haven't really seen anything major in the news. I know Trump got the whole, T community banned from sports or whatever. I know he's got to go to, this is Monday. Remember, I usually do this on Monday and then upload on Wednesdays. But I know he's got to go to the Supreme Court or whatever, and they're going to rule on the birthright citizenship thing. Hopefully that gets passed, because it is a joke. It shouldn't be allowed. It was done for blacks during the Civil War, and it was supposed to discontinue after that, but they just kept going with it. But anyways, I've been seeing a lot of crap on the whole black Snape thing, which is redonkulous. They shouldn't have done that. They've ruined that show by doing that. They shouldn't even have been redoing the show anyway. It's a cash cow. Most of this crap is cash cows. Whenever you see a remake or reboot, 90% of them now are just cash cows. They just put that title on there because they know everybody knows that title. So they're hoping to generate money that way. But it always turns out to be dog shit. Every single one of them practically. I've only seen one remake that I actually liked, and that was Dawn of the Dead. That was about the only remake I could think of off the top of my head that I thought was actually fairly decent. Everything else has been crap, junk. What else? Apparently the new Daredevil is dog shit. I'm not even going to bother watching it. But from what I've seen from other YouTubers, it's dog shit. I liked the first couple of seasons of the first Daredevil. They went wanky with it on the third season. But I thought it was a decent show. I never did watch the other ones like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. And I might someday get around to watching those, but I've heard they're all crap too, but I don't know. I can't say anything because I haven't watched them. But I'm not going to watch the stupid Daredevil. This new, from what I understand, it's really bad. And he's a cuck in this, so no thank you. Also, I've heard the rumors that the woman who's going to redo Narnia, she came out and said it's all going to be feminist crap. And I was like, oh my gosh. They're going to completely deviate away from the books. C.L. Lewis and the shit. You're so retarded. Anyways, that's my thoughts on all that crap. Let's get on to what I really want to talk to you about. So, as I've said before, even if you don't watch the channel regularly, you've only seen a couple videos, or you don't watch it at all, it only takes 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button. It doesn't affect you or your channel whatsoever. It just helps this channel grow. So please subscribe. Also, I have another channel. It's called Easy Does It. The link is in the About section. Check it out if you like gaming vlogs and reviews and reactions to other YouTube channels. Okay. Again, subscribe. So, here recently, it's been probably maybe a few weeks ago or so, I finally finished Fallout Vegas. Now, like Fallout 3, I would constantly just play for a while, and then I had to play something else for a little while. So I put it off, and then I just restart the game and start all over again and do the same thing. I do it over and over again without ever really finishing it. I've done this with this one too, but there are a lot of elements I really don't care for in Vegas. Same, I had the same problem with Fallout 4. I absolutely do not like the whole factions thing. I don't know why whoever made that crap where you got factions and you got to do, depending on what you do for them. If you do missions for them and you succeed, your likability with that faction grows, and then you may piss off a different faction because you helped out this other faction. And there's several factions, but it's just you can't do all the missions because you're pissing some of them off, and they're not going to give you missions or tasks or whatever you want. The level cap is higher in this game, so that helps out a little bit, but not much. One of the main problems I have, and it never happened to me, but maybe once or twice in Fallout 3. But in this game, in Fallout 4, I would constantly get stuck, like on rocks and shit, and have to reload the game to get out of it because it just wouldn't move. They'd get stuck in a rock or something, climbing a hill or some shit, and you get stuck in between two rocks or some crap. And it constantly happened. It was super annoying. Now, when I first started playing the game, I really hated the I forget what they're called. They're like mosquito flying creatures or whatever, and they would poison you, and you have a limited amount of poison. Eventually you can make poison, but it's a pain in the ass. But yeah, they would kill you pretty quickly until you're pretty high in levels. I'd say almost 20 before it came to where they weren't that major of a problem. But the very beginning, you need to avoid them things. Everything else is fine, but them stupid flying mosquito motherfuckers, because they dive bomb you. So it was a pain in the ass. But anyways, what else? Finding stuff wasn't too hard. There's a lot of places to explore, just like in 3 and 4. You've got plenty of stuff to explore, so that's a good thing. Uh, One of the other cons, I didn't like the fact that you almost couldn't find ammunition. Sometimes health and ammunition was a pain in the ass to find. Like you go and you explore abandoned places or whatever that's just on the map, and there's nothing there. It's all junk. Like literally junk. Like, you know, your fan blowers or your cups or glasses and shit, like just junk that you don't need. I was like, what the hell? Where's all the ammunition and shit? You hardly found any. Very limited ammunition and shit. And that's on easy mode or, you know, normal mode. You just couldn't find a lot of resources. It's just a bunch of junk everywhere you go. I really didn't care for most of the stories or the mission stories. Most of them sucked. In this one, in Fallout 3, I almost never used melee weapons. In this one, I actually found some of the melee weapons to be better than the guns. So I used the melee weapons a lot more because they did more damage at the beginning. The guns, until you get your accuracy and all that shit built into your guns, take the small gun skill and all that your guns suck. They don't do hardly any damage. So until I built those up, I used a few melee weapons actually in this one, which I didn't in Fallout 3. I didn't in Fallout 4 either, but in this one I did. They did more damage at the beginning of the game. Yeah, it takes a while to build up your guns and your gun skills, but at the beginning, your guns don't do hardly jack shit for damage, and it's constantly missing in VATS mode. You've got to build up your VATS skill before the guns actually become fairly effective. Now they have one area in this game. It's like a quarry, where you get rocks and shit. Anyways, in that quarry is a shit ton of the what are they called? Death claws. Them death claws. And it takes a while to take them all out, and you definitely want to do them at a distance. You're not going to survive doing melee or some shit like that. You got to do them at a distance. You better wait until you build up that sniper rifle before you take those guys on. There is a ton of them. But other than that, and it's mainly in that area on the railroad tracks leading out of that area that you see a bunch of death claws. Once in a while you may run into one somewhere else, but it's very rare. It also took me a while to figure out how to get up into the mountain outpost for the New Republic of California, the NRC. There's one outpost all the way up to the top left, and you have to go all the way around the mountains to get up in there. You can't, and unless you go through. No, I think that's the only way. I didn't try what you might have been able to get through a group of nomads called cons or something, is what they called themselves. There might have been a way to get up in there through that way, but I didn't ever go up in there that way. I had to go all the way around to figure out how to get up in that mountain area to get to that outpost. Because there's a mission you got to go to get to it. It's a pain in the ass. But anyways, overall the game's okay. It's Fallout, but it's not like Fallout 3. I love Fallout 3. I don't like the whole thing where I didn't mind, building some weapons from materials in Fallout 3, the way they did it. I like that. And in Vegas and in Fallout 4, you have to get all these certain parts and shit to make your fucking weapons, and it's stupid. Some of the weapons, it's dumb. I like the way shit was repaired in 3, and then they changed it all for Vegas and 4, and it sucked the way you repair weapons and shit. I didn't like it. But overall, the game's okay. I thought there was a lot more cons than there was good stuff about it. The geckos and shit that are introduced into this game, they're okay. It didn't bother me that much having a few new enemies. I didn't like the way the mermen were done in this one. I thought they were cheesy in this one. It's like they just threw them in there and gave them abilities. It was silly. But anyways, overall, it's okay. It's not terrible. I give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Play it if you want. It's up to you. It's an alright game, especially if you like Fallout. Anyways, I still think Fallout 3 is the best of the entire series. So, alright, Movieholics, let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Alright, Movieholics, this week is Fantasy Week. Now, I told you I'd continue on with the Turtle movies, and I'm strictly sticking with the live action movies. I'm not going to watch one of the cartoons. These are strictly the live action. Now we're moving on to the third one, which stars Elis Coates, which is the one who plays son of a bitch, the guy with the hockey stick. I can't think of his name. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm having a brain fart. I can't think of the dude's name. It's character's name or whatever. And then Paige Turco is the one who plays April O'Neil in this one. It was done in 1993, and it made about 42 million worldwide. It didn't do as well as the others. But anyways, the whole story is centered around the scepter or whatever that supposedly causes time travel. They go back to feudal Japan. Casey, that's his name, Casey. His character's name's Casey. It just popped in my head. Sorry. Anyways, see, I'm just an average dude like you, you know. I'm not some big YouTuber or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, they go back in time. Well, April brings it to him. She's all like, I found all this stuff at an antique store, yada yada yada. I brought you guys some stuff, and one of the items happens to be this scepter. Now, how it got into an antique store, it's not explained, but she rubs on it like a magic genie bottle, and the next thing you know, there's like a little center piece in the glass, and it starts spinning, and electricity comes out, and then sends her back in time. Now, when it sends her back in time, it replaces her with this guy who happens to be the son of some warlord or some shit like that, and he takes her place in the present, while she goes back in time and takes his place. They arrest her, throwing her in her. They throw her in a dungeon, thinking she's a witch, because this guy's son has disappeared, and they think she's responsible. So he decides he's going to interrogate her, torture her until she tells him where his son is. Of course, we all know that doesn't work out. There's also a tradesman, an English tradesman there, who's trying to sell this Japanese warlord guns, because apparently he's fighting a revolutionary army who's trying to stop him from ruling the land, which is run by a girl who happens to be like, I wouldn't call her, she's like his girlfriend or whatever, his son's girlfriend. Anyways, the Turtles figure out how to work the device, and they go back in time to get April back. Now, when they do this, they have to exchange places with 4 people, because there's 4 of them, according to Master Splinter. Or was it Donatello figured it out? I don't know. I think Donatello figured it out, actually, that in order for, it's like equal mass equals, you know, equal distance, some shit like that, some scientific crap. But in other words, 4 bodies got to replace 4 bodies, and they got to be but like equal in height and weight, or pretty close. So for whatever reason, when they go back in time, 4 of the warlord's elite guards come and take their place. Now, this makes no sense, because it's like, because they all got to be touching the scepter, apparently, at the same time. So why would they all be touching the scepter at the same time? It makes no sense. But when they go back, they find out that the 4 elite guards were just in the middle of a battle or some shit, and they end up getting split up. Well, 3 of them go one way, and Mikey ends up in the forest with the scepter at first. The Revolutionary Army find him and bring him back with them and lock him up. But he's out. He's unconscious. The scepter is also found and disappears. Now, after that, the Turtles eventually break out of the prison with April and a guy who looks like Casey, which is actually a spy for the English captain, ends up going with him. They end up finding Mikey at the Revolutionary Army's village, her group, and they all get back together. Well, the warlord, he finds him. Actually, it's the English captain first. He finds him, tries to stop him. Then he gets reinforcements with the warlord, and they go back and try to stop him, but it don't work. They end up they find that the villagers were keeping the scepter because they were hoping that they would help them go and destroy the warlord. But they eventually get it back. They do stop the warlord. They send the Englishmen packing, going home without making a trade deal. And all ends as well, you know, that kind of thing. Happily ever after ending. So they decided to go back in time to their time. They were reluctant at first, but they do it. Everybody goes back to their own places and blah blah blah. The warlord, they hand the warlord the scepter in feudal Japan, and he puts it away, locks it up. They don't show what happens to the one in the future with the Turtles. They don't show what they do with it there. There's one point in the story that kind of confused me. They show writings in feudal Japan. The warlord has writings and drawings of the Turtles from another part in the past, far farther. Because the warlord keeps saying, "You destroyed my ancestor, blah blah blah, you're not going to do it to me." So apparently they had been in the past before, but the Turtles don't remember it. They just say, "Oh, these guys, these so-called demons," because that's what they called them, the Japanese, "they look just like us, blah blah blah," you know. And I'm like, well, does that mean that they're supposed to go again back in time at some point? That's the only, but it never says any of that. In fact, they make it sound like these are 4 different turtles, that it's in these scrolls and shit. It made no sense. So that's a little, like I said, it contradicts what they're doing now. So, I don't know. Strange. Nothing's ever told about the first time they showed up, or if it was even them that it was. If it's not them, then they're the only 4 mutant turtles, so what the fuck? That makes no sense. Unless it was them, and they, at some point in time, they have to go back into the past again, even further in Japan's history. I don't know. Anyways, the movie's cheesy. I mean, it's really cheesy, but it was okay for what it was. It was more of like something you would see on the Sci-Fi channel, like a TV adaptation movie. It didn't feel like a cinematic movie like the first one did. But it was better in the second one. The second one was probably the worst in the entire series. This one was alright. It's worth a one-time watch. But don't get your hopes up. It's not like that great. I'll give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Check it out if you want. Now, the next one I watched was what they were trying to do was reboot it, the series for movies. The 2014 version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And of course, you had to have. I don't think she's good looking, but she's not like super hot. Megan Fox is in it with Will Arnett. I don't think she's that hot. She's okay. She's not bad looking at all, but she's not like. I don't think she's that super hot. But anyways, it was done in, of course, 2014, but it made $485 million worldwide, which is, of course, once you get up past the 2000s, you start getting into the 100 millions, you know, for a lot of these movies. Movies like that didn't make that much money back in the day. But anyways, the turtles are kind of CGI'd, which is okay. You can tell they're CGI'd, but overall, it wasn't the best special effects, but it was all right. Michael Bay is the director for this. The guy who did the Transformers movies, which I had a lot of qualms about those too. But anyways, the one thing that everyone complained about this movie was they went and changed the backstory of the turtles. Now it's she found them, she helped them escape from an explosion in a building after they were using them as test subjects for some mutagen. They completely changed the story when April O'Neil had nothing to do with the turtles whatsoever. Plus, Splinter supposedly just, figured out how to do ninjutsu from a book. He just looked at the pictures and started learning ninjutsu and then taught the turtles. I mean, that backstory is absolutely ridiculous. It was dumb. But anyways, the whole story is this guy that worked with her father was working on an experiment which would be what he called a cure-all. In other words, it would cure just about anything. And they were really close. Somebody didn't like the idea of them making this drug. So they went in there and they destroyed the labs and ended up killing her father in a fire or whatever. The building burnt down. She saved the turtles and the rat, and then she was taken to a foster care thing, I think, or maybe family took her. I don't know. But anyways, the other guy, his partner, her dad's partner, decided to make his own company and became very successful. What she didn't know was that he grew up in Japan and met Master Shredder, who, kind of raised him, sort of, supposedly. And then came over here to the U.S., back to the U.S. And him and Shredder had this plan to poison the entire city, and then he would swoop in with the cure-all and cure everybody and make millions. Shredder wanted to take over the city and be like the boss of the bosses in the city. Now you only see Shredder's face, the actor, a couple of times. The rest of the time, he's wearing this stupid Shredder robotic suit, which is in the comics and the cartoons, but not till way later. He doesn't get that suit until way later. But they went and put it in this movie for their first meet, which made no sense. But anyways, the Turtles and him, they end up fighting over the whole mutagen thing and them trying to stop him from poisoning the entire city. And then they eventually beat him. And all ends, it ends well, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's an okay movie. It's not as good as the first one, I don't think, story-wise. Of course, you know, graphics are a little bit better. But story-wise, it's not really as good as the very first movie. Check it out if you want. I give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Them constantly changing the story in this movie kind of ruined it for me. The way they did some of the stuff, it just wasn't right. But it was okay for an action flick. Okay, now there is a sequel to this one, which I will get to the next fantasy video, and there isn't another live action movie after that. However, I do know a movie that is similar, but it has to do with kangaroos instead of turtles. So I'll add that one on to the next one. Okay, so that's all I have for you this week. If you have any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. I don't ever really hear from you guys. Now, if it's negative, I'm going to ignore you. But also, if you could think of any underrated, B-rated shit you think I may never even heard of, because there's some out there. There's tons of movies, B-rated shit I've never heard of. Yeah, there's stuff I've never even heard of. I'm looking shit up going, oh, I've never heard of that. I'll check that out. So if you can think of anything, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below. I'll get to review them as soon as I can. So until next time, I told you be told the truth, and you just been told.